a six-pack. Heavy metal over a six-pack.
Give me a beer.
Why did I say Dave earlier?
Because you love shitting on anyone named Dave.
That's unfair, Dave.
It's true. I love shitting on me.
It's a hobby of mine. Honey, not again.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic start.
That's how I pass the time, man.
Yeah, you know.
Welcome to the Heavy Metal Over Six Pack podcast. We are Marcus, we are Anthony, we are Dave, and we are joined by Deek of local Boston, Mass-based metal hardcore rock band Inverter, which just a fun side story. I've seen Inverter actually probably like a half a dozen times, like unintentionally.
Oh, really? How? Just like randomly at shows. Like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
I know it's a weird comment.
And that
It's like,
goes through his Christmas talking. Oh, Inverter tickets again.
like,
Damn it.
It's one of those things like I happen to...
I was passing by so-and-so building,
Yeah.
and I caught a mere audio glimpse. Yeah.
I've been to a few local festivals that like Inverter always seems to be at, and like it's like one of those like you check it, it's like, oh, that's pretty good, and you check it out, it's like, oh, that's pretty good, and then we took like an actual like serious look at you guys like when we were down in Connecticut,
Mhm.
like probably about a month ago or so, and I was like,
Oh, the Toad Show, that one?
yeah, I think so,
Yeah.
and I was like, holy shit, those guys are like amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Like,
Thank you for
I-
being easily impressed. Like to set the bar real low.
Uh,
no, like entertaining as hell, and like we were inspired to like actually like approach you guys like and like get you on, just like talk like a little bit, just to talk about a few accolades. So in a time of the world where like everybody else is shut down, I mean, you guys seem to have like a pretty busy 2021. Obviously, album release, and you got this Boston Music Award for Metal Artist of the Year.
Yeah, that was a surprise. A friend of mine, he goes, "Hey, dude," he emails me, "Hey, dude, congrats on the nomination." I'm like, "For what?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, he's like, "For the Metal Act of the Year." It was whittled down to 10 bands at one point out of 5 billion in the Boston area, greater Boston area. And I had no idea this thing was even going on. And we got nominated by this. It's by listeners, but also as a panel of like people that are part of some association that are all music geeks that are like in the industry, run podcasts, run record labels. And we were nominated by some of them. And then we go to this thing and we end up winning the damn thing. I was like, holy crap.
That's awesome.
that's great.
It was definitely a surprise. I have video of it somewhere where Jimmy and Jeff, the drummer, they got wasted. So they were like screaming and running around. You know, you ever see the Three Stooges where Curly falls on the floor and does the Curly shuffle running in circles? It was basically that with copious amounts of alcohol. It was like they were making a scene where we thought we would get thrown out of the place before we could actually collect the award.
And
So
we're not invited
pretty
back.
calm and collected. Yeah, they were pretty excited.
Funny.
It was it got out of hand.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's how you know it was well earned.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was cool because there were some pretty good bands we were going up against. So, you know, fuck those bands.
We're the greatest in Boston.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of competition in Boston, so it was an honor.
I can
There's
imagine.
some awesome bands. So,
It's a bit of a music city.
yeah, and not as cool as it once was. There's not as many clubs because they're all getting. It's a very expensive town, so everything's getting gentrified.
Yeah.
A lot of the clubs are getting shut down. COVID killed a few of the other ones.
Sucks.
Um,
So many venues.
Yeah, it's good and bad because at one point in time, maybe there were, I don't want to say there were too many clubs, but on any given night, you're spoiled in a bigger city where there's like 100 bands you can go see. So you're all fighting for that limited audience that likes, and metal like is especially tough in Boston. It's like the bastard child of music. in Boston where it's just a lot of the clubs, they want bands that sound like the Strokes or cover bands.
Yeah.
You know, like I'd rather die before doing that. So it's just not going to happen.
Right.
So we actually find ourselves playing a lot of times outside of Boston and not in Boston. It's just not worth it.
Yep.
So it's a little bit weird as a scene. Same with New York City. New York City is kind of a lot of it's like a terrible metal scene.
Interesting.
No, it is. And even bands there, it's like it's so hard. Like they don't play there. They play outside New York City because there's not as many clubs. The clubs don't want metal bands. They don't want hardcore bands. They don't want the trouble that comes with those bands, which usually there's none. But but in some cases, you know, with the crew mentality of like the true hardcore stuff, there's trouble once in a while.
Yeah,
that's true.
I got quite a few stitches to prove it. It's, you know, because I was very in the hardcore scene of Boston. I've got my ass kicked and you know, like gotten fights and, you know, and like landed on and just other bad stuff many times. So it breaks you down.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
but only slightly.
Yeah. I walked over to the screen with a cane. I got a couple leg braces on right now.
Here we go.
We're a resilient bunch of idiots up here in New England.
Basically, yeah. Something in the cold weather, something in the air. I don't know.
That's just it. If we can tolerate the weather, you know.
Oh, you know what it is? Boston too is a drinking city. It's all Irish, man. Anywhere you go, there's fist fights. There's fights. It's like you kind of walk by it, you don't even pay attention anymore because it's so common. You know, especially in the Irish bars at closing time. Out on the sidewalk, there's people fighting. It's like
leave the bar, find blood on your shirt. Like, what the? Oh, again?
Yeah. I don't remember how this got here. Where the shiner come from?
Oh shit.
That's awesome. So, do you have like what's your out of all the venues you played? Like, what do you think is your favorite one in the area?
Why in the Boston area or just New England or which? Or
I mean,
or
just like local to here. Like, do you
Let's
have
call
like
it New England because fuck Boston.
Yeah. Do you have like a home base or something? I mean, not like.
I'll be in a fight tonight if I say that. No, I love Boston. I actually grew up in Connecticut near New Haven. So I moved up here and I fell in love with the Boston area. I've been up here for like 20 years. It's awesome just all around. But clubs, well, you saw us at Toad's Place. Toad's Place is like, it's an awesome club. I grew up having seen some big legendary bands there as a kid. So that was the second time, I've ever played Toad's Place. Which was a total honor. And Opus from Dead by Wednesday and Hail the Horns, he put that show on and invited us up because we've done a bunch of shows with Dead by Wednesday. We love those guys. And with Mark Rizzo from, you know, Soulfly and all that. So Toad's Place, it was an honor to go back there. That's one of my favorite clubs, to be honest. Up in the Boston area, there's clubs that are great, but it's like you got to weigh one pro and con versus the other. There's clubs like the Middle East and Cambridge. I've seen some amazing shows there. But like, you'll play there and pack the place and they're like, here's a nickel, tweak. You know, like bands kind of get, it's rough because the overhead in clubs in Boston is so great that like sometimes the clubs will take like well over $1,000 off the top before a band sees, you know, a penny. The Paradise in Boston, if you've ever been there, I've never played it. That's one of my favorite clubs. That's like on my bucket list to play the dice, they call it. It's kind of like a Toad's Place in size with a balcony, almost a New Orleans style wraparound balcony, a second floor so you can look down on things. And I don't know, you're growing up, I'm old, so there used to be a place in New Haven, the Tune In, that was like popping my cherry club wise. And it was a rough neighborhood. Like we got jumped by a gang once leaving a show, leaving a Leeway show, a hardcore show, we got jumped. Another time I got robbed at gunpoint leaving an Overkill show. You know, just not a good neighborhood, but the club was legendary. Fernando Pinto, who's from New Haven, used to run that joint. I don't know. There's a lot of cool clubs to pick from. We do especially well out in Central Mass and in Providence, even though we're from Boston, because the metal scene seemed to be stronger over in those regions and more supportive, especially when we got to Springfield, like Geraldine's, which used to be maximum capacity, and Poor Richards. It was a couple places. Yeah, I love that place because the people there are great. That scene's awesome. We'll play there. We'll sell like a zillion shirts and CDs. We're playing there, in fact, coming up in like a week or two, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm the one who books the shows, but I often don't remember. We have quite a few coming up. Yeah, we're playing a show up there coming up. It's like $1 cover. It's like this birthday bash for someone with Medicated Savage, 1 Ton Tommy Gun, in Hero in the Horror, I think. And Inverter. It's like $1 to get in. I don't even know, like, why even bother charging a cover?
Yeah, right. Just-
Maybe like $1. Like, did they legally have to charge something? I don't know.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Turns into like
But
a
that
nuisance.
show
Like,
will
that
be-
guy doesn't bring cash.
You take Venmo.
You
Yeah,
take checks?
I gotta put this
As
on
the
my
bouncer,
debit,
work
right?
him over in the back alleyway. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Do you
man.
take food stamps?
Yeah.
I got a wick.
Yeah.
That sucks though, man, that you guys got jumped and how come everybody in the Boston area has like a gun story or like a like I had a
No,
gun
that
pulled
was
on
New-
me.
That was New Haven. That was New Haven.
Jeez.
The 2 times on not Crown Street, but off Orange Street and Center Streets, where this place, the Tune-In, used to be. Now it's a parking lot. And we used to go see a lot of hardcore bands there, back in the day. Madball, Earth Crisis, Strife, 108, Shelter. I'd go to all these hardcore shows and just, break my body down, do nothing but stage dive and have people. I'm a tall dude. So the problem is, if I'm in the crowd, when I get stage dove upon, it's not proper English.
You're the target.
I'm tall. Yeah, I'm the first one to get hit. So like I have so many neck injuries from all the concerts I've gone to,
Random
and
feet flying through.
the full force of someone's body. You always get
Yeah.
these like drunk fat dudes who think they can fly and they want to try. They want to try stage diving for the first
For the
time,
first time ever. Yep.
and then this 300-pound guy lands in your neck.
Not
I
the
feel-
best for you.
I feel like there should be a weight limit for like crowd surfing, like stage diving. It's like, dude, if you're above 225, you don't belong up there.
yeah. I mean, even that. Yeah, I'm around that too. I don't think I would stage dive anymore because I'm afraid I'd crush someone, I'd kill them. Because it's 225 with momentum coming down. We used to
Mhm.
climb up in some of the amp stacks at the Tune-In and jump off those, or see if we could do flips in the crowd when it was really thick. So
Sure, sure.
you'll never fall through because there's just too many people there. But
Mhm.
or people would always run and try to walk on heads, and that that hurts. Yeah.
That's not
And
good
that was
for
an
you.
old, like, again, and I'm dating myself. That was like an earlier hardcore scene thing where you just try to run as far as you could over the heads of crowds. Yeah, it's
Want to go to a
When you're on the
hardcore
receiving-
show?
You're exactly-
yeah.
His name
When
is
you're on the
escape-
receiving end of like a size 14 Nike, it's not fun.
his name is escaping me, but the lead vocalist of Reveille back in the day, like every single
Yeah,
show, he
Drew
would
Similarities.
he would jump off of a stack. He would do a front flip off of a stack into the crowd.
Yeah, he was a spry little dude. I'm actually really good friends with Greg, the guitarist from Reveille. And I guess through one of those, like, the seven whatever of Kevin Bacon, all, how everything
Yeah,
is linked
yeah.
to one with another.
6
Our
degrees
drummer,
of separation.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Our drummer, Jeff Lawn, was in the band Genuflect with Drew from Reveille fronted that band. They put out 3 or 4 albums. They toured the US, and our drummer, Jeff, was in that band with Drew. That band also had Greg Sullivan, the guitarist from Reveille, in it. So it was like a Reveille part 2 with half the, after Reveille kind of got screwed by their label and imploded,
Mhm.
they formed that band. And our guy, Jeff, was their drummer for years.
Interesting.
But
Damn
Drew's
labels.
a little guy. Have you ever met him? He's a little dude.
I haven't
Like
officially met him. I've seen them live so many times, though. It was like one of those things. like,
Yeah,
if I was
he's
at the
kinda like
Western
a very-
Palladium,
Yeah.
like Reveille was opening. Like it didn't matter who was playing.
Yeah,
Like,
no, really great, energetic band. The drummer, so I played. Inverter is the only band I've ever fronted. I've played drums in countless bands.
Mhm.
Their drummer, Justin, I can't tell you his last name, but was so fun to watch. He was like this tornado of dreadlocks and hair playing. His neck was like replaced surgically with a hinge, I think, just a headbanging.
Swinging around.
I would just watch that dude when they were playing. That the whole band was just so energetic. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they are no more. Neither is Genuflect either. So
Yeah.
Gotta live and die metal, man.
yeah. This
Deek, you're
too
throwing
fell
a lot of cool names out there. I hate to do that lame, like, what are the influence questions, but like what would you say your influences to get you into music?
fast. I mean, it's inevitable. Everyone, like in reviews or online, whether people like us or not, they're like, these guys are really carrying that 90s torch. I'm like, sure, I guess we are. That's kind of the era I grew up through. Some of that. I worked in radio forever. So we get called anything from like some form of hardcore to new metal to whatever. I'm like, I don't fucking care what people call us. If you dig us, that's cool. Like,
Right.
and new metal became like a bad word at some point in time.
Thanks,
and,
Fred.
Like, yeah, like I really don't care. And truth be told, there were a lot of new metal bands I thought were kind of cool, especially rhythmically, some of them. And we get compared all the time to Static X. I think because of the timbre of my vocals. Like,
Yeah, I guess
whether you see it or not, we get that one a lot. White Zombie meets Static X. I'm a big fan with the hip hop influence. I used to hate hip hop growing up. We have a couple albums out. Our first one definitely has more of that, but I was into this band Downset from Los Angeles, which were kind of the pioneers, the precursor. Almost when Rage first came out, they were the two rivals in that scene.
Sure.
And Downset was a little more legitimately street and way more profanity. You know, it's like real deal, the atrocities and horrors of living in the hood, which, you know, I didn't grow up in that atmosphere. I really like them. And I don't know, man. Madball is one of my favorite bands. So some of the breakdowns we throw in. Hatebreed, I grew up in a scene where we used to play with Hatebreed when all they had out were like 7 inches in cassettes. We'd play shows with them at VFW halls. And even then, I'm like, these guys are amazing. They're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Very different band. So
They went somewhere.
I don't know if they'd be an influence, but those are the bands that like turn my head. But I like a lot of weird, quirky shit too. I guess there's a cartoonish side to our band where we're just like, it's not all about like tough guy seriousness.
Sure.
A lot of the lyrics are very tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
We're writing a bunch of new stuff now where we're getting really nerdy. And like I grew up like I'm a comic book nerd. That was a long-haired metalhead, Maiden shirts, Chuck Taylors, kind of a high school outcast, let's say. And you know, I love that shit. So like we've got a new song we're working on that we might debut soon called Hydraulic Killing Grip. And it's basically in the future, it's this dystopian, it's very based on like, I've been watching too many of the Terminator movies or movies like the horror movie Hardware in the 80s about the killer robot. Shit like that. But like in a dystopian sci-fi future where if you don't keep up with your bills, these machines are sent to execute you. You know, it's basically in the year 2078, it's illegal to be poor. But there's social commentary in it. There's a lot of social commentary in it, but we try to keep it fun because we don't want to preach politics to people.
Right.
So it's like all painted in this kind of comic book like futuristic canvas.
Cool.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I like the nerdy shit as well. Apparently, Prong is one of my favorite bands, and in fact, Tommy Victor from Prong is on the new. He's on the new album. Did vocals for us on a track.
That's pretty cool.
And that's a band. Yeah, and Clutch. I'll just mention that one. I love Clutch.
Clutch is good.
Yeah, like almost anything they've done has been pretty solid.
I mean, when you talk about like your influences and stuff, I've listened to all your guys' albums, and I think you brought it up as well. But it seems to be that every album has a different feel to it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like everything, it's almost like a different genre. Not fully, but enough you can tell the difference.
Well, what happens? Your influences change. I mean,
right, of course.
Like, dude, I'm going through these wormholes backwards with music. There's bands I used to hate and despise. I'm like, that shit is lame growing up. Even old school stuff. Like, I always love Iron Maiden, never liked Judas Priest. Now I went back years back and bought some Priest albums, and I freaking love them. I'm like, I was missing out. This band from the 90s, there's a band called Cop Shoot Cop. And they were this weird alternative rock metal, almost grunge band, but they were so fucking weird that no one could really understand what they were trying to do. But it's genius on some level. It's so odd. I've been listening to them a lot lately.
Interesting.
And that's a band who never went anywhere simply because the band name was a little too controversial.
You're
not going to put them on MTV. It's already like, whoa.
No.
But they're not really a bad or controversial band. They're just fucking weird.
Right.
So, I guess that's some of the wormholes I've been going down, or with that quirky, weird stuff, which changes what we do in each album. Myself and Bill, the guitarist, we primarily write most of the stuff. I can't play a lick of guitar, but I'll write a good majority of the riffs by just coming up with them in my head, tape recorder, hum them to him. He picks them up, puts his stamp on them. We bring them to the other guys. They put their touch and everything. Or sometimes we'll just be jamming and like a song comes out of nothing within 5 minutes and we start building upon that. So, you know, if we kept putting the same thing out over and over, there probably would be some people who would be pleased with that, but we wouldn't. So it's,
you get stale though, you know what I mean? It's nice to have it helps too, because when you play a show, it helps to match a little bit, you know, who you're playing with, and you kind of have that versatility behind you.
It's interesting too, because we get billed with a lot of like, and I love like death metal stuff, black metal stuff, and even the older stuff like Deicide, Obituary, Malevolent Creations coming to town. And I'm like, oh my God, they're back on tour. And that's an old school death metal band.
Right.
I love that stuff, especially from the rhythmic section, realm of that stuff. But we get billed with a lot of those bands and we're nothing
Right.
like that. So when we first started playing shows like that, like who the hell billed us with, some band that's some spiderweb logo that I can't even read.
Right, you can't even read, yeah.
But we always work well with them because I think what it is we're the rhythmic or sonic break from all the blast beat bands.
Yeah, it
Where
switches it up a bit.
We try to be more about groove and bounce. And these other brutal blast beat bands are like marathons in music. They're so fast that after a while, it gets tiring if you have 10 of those bands in a row. So that has actually worked out well for us. And even better yet, we always get the women up front while the death metal bands don't. Because I think we're the break where if they're brought,
they can dance.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is. I don't know. None of it's planned. I keep seeing this white thing in the background, like this floating apparition. My proton pack out.
Yeah,
Bro. This is the area for that too.
Boston makes me feel good.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of history in this area.
We're in an old house too, and I'm like the house next door to me. This is a pretty historic area. The house next to me is built in the 1700s. This one's like 100 years old, not that old. But the town, I live in Stoughton, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, which was named after the judge that presided over the Salem witch trials. At the time, he was a hero, so they named the town after him. But he was a murderous bastard. Now when you look back, the guy was just this scoundrel, but the town's named after this guy who sentenced all these women to death. It's bizarre, but that's a lot of the Boston history around here. It's pretty
right.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I actually went to Salem for the first time last year, and I was actually pretty astounded at some of the you got all these museums and everything from all that stuff. And you just kind of learn a lot about the history. It's like I don't know if I want to live here anymore.
That's a cool. We just played there 2 weeks ago, actually, up in Salem.
Nice.
And I hadn't been to Salem in like a long time, even though I lived like only an hour away. I just around Halloween, it's like amateur hour. No disrespect to that. It just gets so. It's like going to Times Square for New Year's. It's just not worth it. It's so crowded. Like
there's a lot of people.
So I just never go up there. But it's a really cool town.
It is
like lots to do.
Definitely.
Keep it with the origin story. What?
We've been taking it from you. I know you usually the question guy, but
oh, gotcha.
We've been rolling.
This is a successful podcast if I don't have to talk. Keeping with the origin story, I read the startup of the band. I actually read this was originally supposed to be a studio project that kind of blossomed.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I was playing drums, Bill the guitarist. We were in a Rage Against the Machine tribute band called Age Against the Machine because we're old bastards.
Gotcha.
And it actually, when it started out for fun, it led to a lot of things with Age Against the Machine, which was also as an original thing later became Def Dealer, DEF, like the 90s hip hop term. Not a name I'm proud of, but it is what it is.
Hey.
We went on to record a bunch of stuff for the WWE for a bunch of the wrestlers, their arena entrances, like Jack Swagger, the All-American American. His theme song that was used for years was Bill and I and these two other guys. When
so cool.
DX came back, like Triple H and those dudes, when they had a new revamp theme, that was us.
Yeah.
And then this dude, Big Cass, that 7 foot tall dude who they later bounced, he's like wrestling in South America for peanuts. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
We had a theme for him. So this tribute band became something else where all of a sudden some of those tracks were released on Columbia Records. One of the albums, WWE The Voices volume, I couldn't tell you. We got a platinum plaque of the thing. It sold so many copies because we were involved with it. Came in the mail. I was like, holy shit.
That's cool.
And like that band became a lot more than we thought it ever would have been, but it ran its course. We did it for 7 years, and you're playing someone else's music for 7 years. Even if the money's good, it's like slavery mentally. It sucks.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, Rage isn't putting out new music. It's not like there's new stuff to play. We knew every single song of theirs. Like, all right, what do we do next?
Right.
So anyways, we started writing new material, and the guy who was in Def Dealer was I don't know, the guy's like a musical genius, but he was a little slow on the writing side. And I was just the drummer. So I started writing the lyrics for the sake of expediency. And in a couple sessions, one of the producers goes, dude, why don't you just fucking hop on the mic and do some of the lyrics? And I did. He's like, that's a rap. We're using that one. I'm like, okay. Good and bad, because that was, so anyways, me and Bill and I started writing stuff on the side, just drinking whiskey, writing songs. The first one being a track called Back in the Dirt, which is one of the few old songs we still play off the first album. And there's a music video on YouTube for that one too. And we put stuff out there on Spotify and all that crap. And we started getting offers for all these shows like, hey, you guys would fit well with this bill. I'm like, we're not even a band. We're just a studio thing. And we had so many show offers that we're like, all right, maybe we start a band.
Yep.
And that's where we recruited Jeff Lawn and drums from Genuflect from this band Seventh Rail Crew out of Boston. I had known him forever. And Jimmy, the Strangler Evangelista, he has a new nickname every time I talk about him. The big, burly bassist, not to be messed with. He's our bassist. And yeah, I mean, it's all worked out nicely because, they're great guys. We don't argue about anything. We get along, and we all have different musical influences, which I think makes the band so weird. Yeah, the guitarist is obsessed with Van Halen. The bassist is obsessed with Italian food.
Guys, what if we put in a meatball in this song?
It's no, the funny thing is I always make fun of, like, joke on stage about how Italian he is. He looks like he's a neck breaker for the mob. He's not even Italian, so don't tell.
So trouble.
Garlic bread solo.
Yeah, as a laser sight.
Yeah, right. Watch out.
Don't worry. No, it's okay. I'm Italian. I'll tell everybody in the family that you're good. Don't worry about it. You can say whatever you want.
Right. No, but that's the lineup now. It's been that way for a while, and it's a melting pot of weird influences. Like, I'll mention bands to the guitarist that I'm into. He's like, I've never even heard of those bands. Because him and I are like, there's a difference in age there too. He's older than I am, so he's coming from one era. He'll throw in stuff when we're writing. I'm like, dude, that's 1982. We got to like update it to like at least 91.
Yeah. Or was it too much?
Yeah. So we're just fucking around, experimenting with stuff, and it's working out. It's fun. If anything, we're not going to make a lot of money doing.
Well, that's
this.
the main thing. I mean, if you enjoy doing it, you know what I mean, and you have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's success in my mind.
Right.
That's me.
Yeah, exactly. We enjoy going to the studio. That's great. And playing to people. I mean, it's a thrill if someone comes over and wants to buy your album or a shirt.
Definitely.
And to people out there, like, you don't realize how much that means to bands. If you want to slap down, 10, 15, 20 bucks to buy something, not only are you buying them gas money, but you're kind of giving them not verification. Believing in what they do. That sounds like
you did done good that day.
Yeah. So Mr. Rogers minute right there, but it's true because it's awesome. People come up and like, thank you so much for buying that, man. They'll never know how much blood, sweat, and tears and money went into recording an album.
Right.
It's always a losing endeavor for the most part.
It's very true.
Yep. But it's worth it.
No, I mean, to have some physical, Bill in the band, he's like, every time we go to the studio, he's like, I don't care if you spend extra money, let's get these takes right. This is our stamp in time.
Yep.
If you're going to do it right, even if you have to go an extra 2 hours in the studio.
Yep.
100%.
And we'll lay drum tracks, bass is done, then it's Bill and I in the studio for all the rest of the sessions, because he's like the most blunt motherfucker ever, and I kind of am too. If I do some run vocally he thinks sucks or lyrically is dumb, he'll just chime right into the two-way. I'm like, dude, that was the worst crap I've ever heard. You can do better. And I'll say the same to him, with his guitar work or something. That sounded like a Chumbawamba riff. We haven't had that happen yet, but
that's a beautiful relationship, though. Like when you have that ability.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, the benefit of that, as I get older, like I'm just so blunt with people. I'm polite, but I'm blunt because I want to get my point across. I don't have the time to waste, and I prefer if people do that with me. And furthermore, if people pay me a compliment, these blunt people, I know it actually means something.
Right. Exactly.
It's not some nicety where they're like buttering my balls and just like pat me on the back. Well, it's not fucking worth it. I know they actually meant that, because otherwise they're usually cutting me down with stuff to help me.
All right, we're editing out the first 4 minutes of my conversation at this podcast today. I said all kinds of nice things. I don't know if
what nice things.
Do you need butter?
Yeah.
I have butter.
Yeah, we can butter your balls.
Yeah. I only got margarine though. I'm sorry, man.
castor oil.
Castor oil.
Yeah.
Do we have to have a sidebar? You know that's not good for you, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's
Buttering
good for you
balls.
these days.
Yeah.
That's got to be another Italian thing.
Margaring your balls is not bad. It's not good for you.
Yeah, that's
Can't
right.
imagine
Yeah.
it's great.
Oleo. Is that in, was not, I don't know.
I can't believe it's not balls.
Yeah.
Something my wife.
There's a t-shirt in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
If I don't see that T-shirt at the next Inverter show, I'll be pretty upset.
That'd
That's
If
be,
you
a
want
new line
gas
of
money,
merch.
I will throw down on that
that'd
T-shirt.
be, that'd be a pretty cool back logo. Like you have like all the inverter stuff in the front. Like I can't believe it's not balls on the back. I can see that.
I
Oh,
won't even
man.
trademark it. That's yours. You guys can have that.
You
Or just a giant banner behind the drums with just two balls hanging, you know,
Yes.
strategically so that they both almost cleavage like are right between the drummer's head,
Mhm, that'd be perfect.
unbeknownst to him as
Yes.
the banner unfurls.
Unknown. Oh shit.
Call it crazy. I kind of like what we're building here.
Stones.
Meeting in the minds. It's like a Mensa meeting
Mhm.
over here.
Uh-huh.
We are so sorry.
So what do you,
This is
all
what we do.
talk
This is
about
what
in rehearsal.
this is one of our services. Like we help you get two balls.
Yeah,
One way
it
or
all
another.
leads to that.
Everything leads back to balls.
Mhm, mhm.
All right, you did a good thing in 2021, despite the world actually ending. Like you guys actually were productive and like released an album. Tell us about another Avalanche.
Yeah, I mean, it's you guys kind of touched upon it. It's pretty eclectic. We go in the studio and we'll go in with like 20 songs and do a couple rehearsals beforehand and just cut the fat, you know, because you want to get down to 8 or 9. It's expensive to go in there. There's only so much time in our schedules too. So we have a lot of stuff that's never seen the light of day, and sometimes we'll revisit it. But if you look at like my cell phone, my hard drive, or Bill, his, of all the times, like him and I will get together on the side and write and jam a lot, you know, just to come up with ideas. We have these like files upon files of stuff with stupid names that were songs that had potential, but they've become nothing as of yet. So it's just mountains of crap. And when you whittle them down, it becomes something. Another Avalanche is what I should know, 9 tracks, 8, 9 maybe.
9 if you want to be
One,
We've
good.
actually,
2, 3,
which is
4,
interesting,
5,
we've
6,
gotten to the point.
9.
This is the first original band I've been in where I've gotten to the point where we have so much material out there when we play a show and we have a limited set time. It's kind of tough to pick what songs to play
Where to roll, yeah.
because we even have some other stuff we do that's not even on the album. So let's say we have like, 25 original songs or more. We're only allowed to play 8. Like, how do you whittle it down?
Yeah.
But yeah, that album's probably more eclectic than the other ones. Some of those songs, there's like one of them's almost like a 70s stoner rock song. This track called Hell, Built for You.
Yep.
And it's, being a fan of the band Monster Magnet, actually, it's kind of born out of some of those bands. Fu Manchu, Monster Magnet,
Yeah.
Acid Mammoth. I don't know if you ever heard of them. There's all these like stoner doom sludge bands
Yeah.
that are like Sasquatch. That's a band that just like really 70s stuff that's really, really heavy. And it's basically like a total relationship revenge song. Basically stating if hell doesn't exist, I'm going to build one for you because you fucked me over so hard.
I like it.
But it's tongue in cheek.
Innovative. Right.
It's about pulling the permits and getting the surveys to construct hell, for this
That's
person,
fun.
presumably a woman in this case, and it's a general song, whoever that screwed you over. It's like one of those angst-filled anti-love songs.
Yeah.
And then we put another one in there that's like almost a pop song if we ever had one, called Last Summer,
Yep.
about my obsession with horror movies. Horror. And if you go through the lyrics, every line in there is a reference to a kick-ass cult followed like horror movie or an obscure one like Troll 2.
They're eating him, and then they're gonna eat me.
Yeah.
I think it's
Oh
Troll 1
my
though.
God.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, it references the village of Nilbog in that one of the
Nilbog,
lines,
yep.
which is
Not
goblin
goblin
backwards.
backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's references in there, of course, to like Nightmare on Elm Street, how sweet fresh meat and Evil Dead. I love that kind of stuff. I'm obsessed with horror movies. So it's all over the map.
Nice.
That was the longest answer you probably ever needed, but there it is.
We like it.
Hey.
The longer the better.
That's it.
God, I
What's
do
that?
sound like my
Not
wife.
always.
I used to work in radio once upon a time. The worst is when you ask a question to a band and they're like, yes.
Yes,
saying anything else.
terrible.
Like, I'm trying to sell you a really crappy album, Gavin Rossdale. At least be
Please.
peppy about it.
Please.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Deek, it was BCN you worked at, was it?
yeah.
What'd you do at BCN?
I was a DJ for 7 years.
1 a.m.
Weekday
or
evenings. What's that?
You were answering the question as I was trying to throw a dig at you.
No. Yeah. Actually, those late shifts where you could get away with murder. Like back then, you could. I mean, I'd drink at work, and like there was no one in the building. You could get away with so much, and people come in just to hang out. No, but in a corporate job, that's CBS radio. And the bands would come in and play venues nearby, and come back sometimes just to hang out and drink and mouth off on the air.
Yeah.
Not bands I was into so much, but like the band Lit, if you remember those dudes. They would, anytime they would come in town, those dudes could drink. They would come by and hang out with us at the station, just buzz in and just
you
come
think
in.
they would have to.
So that they lived up to the legend of that song then,
Yeah,
huh? That song.
That
The
one
one.
individual
Well,
song.
they had a couple, but they had that big one, which they made some bank off. I
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
They still play it.
That was like the last era of bands actually making money,
Right.
And getting platinum records. Then everything went digital and Napster and all that shit. And like,
Mhm.
no one buys albums anymore.
It sucks.
So
Too bad.
Do you have any?
So,
Do you
yeah.
have any cool BCN versus AAF stories?
not really. The funny thing is, like, I grew up listening to more of the stuff that AAF played. I just happened to live close to BCN. So when I went for an internship in college, I interned at BCN because I could literally wake up 5 minutes, like I could see it from my bedroom window. So I
Yeah.
put together this tape I was gonna send to AAF to try to get a job there, like to get like a 1 a.m., 3 a.m. shift. And while I was interning for another DJ there, I passed my demo tape. I was doing college radio off to this woman to get a critique on it. I said, be brutally honest. I didn't know they were looking for DJs. She walked it into the boss. And that weekend I was on the air, and I was on the air.
Hey.
And then I started with the overnight shifts to test me out. And then within 4 or 5 weeks, I got called last minute to come in to fill in for drive time because the guy all of a sudden was like sick or absent. I was like, oh shit, drive time in a major market. And it worked
Yeah.
out so well.
Right.
It landed me my full-time gig, which was 7 to midnight weekdays.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a cool job, good money at the time, but like anything else, it becomes a job after a while. There's a lot of
Right.
corporate crap involved with it,
Sure.
I realize
you get
those.
to meet- What's
I
up?
was gonna say I realize those corporate jobs don't really check what's in your coffee cup. So if you do want to drink on the job, you can just
Yeah.
Yep.
throw it in the old
Sure.
donkey's cup and get to
True.
Right.
work.
It's very
Yeah,
true.
The mic breaks get sloppier and slower, and you just pronounce
We've had a few episodes like that.
It's
it happened.
It's only a bummer because I feel like we were brought up like in my childhood listening to BCN and AAF that like you guys were
Yeah.
like feuding like stations, like pranks against each other, like wars at like shows and like
You know what's interesting though, not to get into it, we weren't allowed to fight back because despite what they say, we're always the station that had the higher ratings because we would like we had a bigger signal, or in downtown Boston, we were always told not to fight back because basically to fight back was to give them plugs continually,
Mm.
which was hard to do, to not say anything back, like
Yeah.
to kind of just take it, and people thought you're being a total bitch about it. It's just that was their tactic. It was weird. I never got in any fist fights or anything, but I was always the younger kid at the time, the metal dude there. So anytime BCN in a pissing contest would steal the MC rights for shows, like shows we had no business owning over AAF, they'd send me out to MC. I had to MC and bring out Slipknot, Hatebreed, and Mudvayne for a show once. That was totally an AAF show. All the other DJs at BCN refused to do the MCing duties. Now I was always the guy they sent out there. So those got brutal too, because you get people who want to cut your throat and throwing stuff at you, and I just throw shit back at them.
Yeah, fuck 'em.
I have a couple of shots somewhere of me. I MC'd. I brought out Cypress Hill at Foxborough Stadium to 60,000 people, and on the jumbotron dropped ass and mooned everybody. But on the jumbotron, I dropped trowel a little too low, where it was nothing but swinging balls on a jumbotron.
We're back to balls. Yes, get the butter.
We did it.
So a photographer friend who was working later got the shot and gave me a printout of him. Like, oh god,
Hey.
Bro, that's the T-shirt. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
outline of
The
you
banner.
dropping trowel on the jumbotron with "I can't believe it's not balls."
So
There you go.
what I'm getting at, when I did this Slipknot show, and it was a rowdy crowd. There's one dude particularly in front who like personally hated me. He's just screaming at me the whole time. It's like I was like, dude, how are you that passionate about which radio station plays free songs for you? Like it was just like, so this guy was just drunk and angry. So I dropped trowel and Slipknot was over the side. I'm supposed to bring them out on stage. You know, as I drop pants, I go over there and give them the big, you know, Slipknot, whatever. And I go over there, they're not coming out. And the guy who was managing the stage, he says, hey brother, they're not coming out till you do that again. That's like, oh man. I had to go for an encore pant dropping before because Corey Taylor and those guys over there are cracking up. And, you know, wouldn't you? I was like, oh man, all right.
Awesome.
You don't want to keep Slipknot fans.
That might be the
waiting.
best story ever, but at the same time, it's like you can't recreate that moment.
Yeah.
Like it's organic
Right.
the first time.
Well, that's the thing. It was awkward coming out for like I was like a puppet in a shill. I had to go out a second time and do it. You know, there's no spontaneity.
Right. No, that's true.
Now I'm self-conscious about my cheeks.
Now they're ready for
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys like that? Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I know.
It's supposed to be derogatory.
The guy who was yelling at me earlier started sending me love letters.
Right? You're my favorite.
Yeah,
It's a metal love story.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Born out of
Something.
balls.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's the next Inverter album. Born out of balls.
Yes, aren't we all?
I know. Yeah. It's like it's profound, but it's not.
Right. No, it's independent.
That's great. That's awesome.
All right, that went where I wanted it to. That was a good story.
Exactly as I play it.
Yes.
Let's say it's a top 3 stories on the podcast so far.
Oh yeah.
Ever.
Dropping crowd during Slipknot.
I just picture Corey Taylor fucking losing his mind, laughing on
That what was interesting, not to harp on that more, but at that point they hadn't gone public ever taking off their masks.
Right.
So it was when we were interviewing them backstage, they had all the black eyeliner with no masks on, and you couldn't take pictures and all that, but you're hanging out with them like, oh, these dudes are uglier than I thought they'd be. No, but you never knew like who was who at
Right.
first until they introduced themselves. 'Cause I didn't know what Corey Taylor or who was Paul, who was the guy who died? Paul
Paul
Wood?
Gray.
No,
Paul
Paul
Gray.
Gray.
Paul Gray.
James Wood? No,
Yep.
that's the actor.
Yep.
One of the guys.
Oh, you
yeah.
Jordy Jameson.
No, he died. That's right. He died too. But one of the guys who first died in Slipknot.
Because Paul Gray was the bassist. That's the one who passed away.
Oh, okay. Paul Gray. Then yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I don't know much Slipknot.
Because
apparently
Jim
that well
Root's
anymore.
the guitarist. I don't know if that helps. But
Yeah.
scary-
Okay. You're right. Yeah.
The
I'm mixed up
scariest
a lot of
part is
names.
that's like Iowa's best right there. So if they're hard to look at, I kind of don't want to go to Iowa.
If Iowa had like a sexiest man of the year calendar, most of them, all 15 of their members or whoever, you know, was there 9 of them?
It's like half of the state.
No, they were awesome. They were a great band live. I mean, like them or not, just again, the energy, like
Oh yeah.
that for the live experience. If you're going to go out there and not move at all, like you
Yeah.
got to put on a show.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to.
I personally was never a huge, another band I saw at one point in time, Henry Rollins. I was never a huge fan of the Rollins band
Yeah.
until I saw them live. I never thought the songs were that good, but he was a master of working up a crowd and just getting a whole room of 2,000 people to bounce
Make
Yeah,
a
and just
difference.
would go nuts. And he wasn't young either. And I was like, wow, this guy's a force of nature.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not like that, but we try to be active too, you know, when we come out to, you know, put on some kind of show.
Yep.
'Cause
Definitely.
no one needs people staring at their fretboards or looking down at their shoes or
Right.
self-consciously, you know, between each lyric, looking at their wrists for whatever interesting reason.
Whispering into their mic.
Mhm.
Yeah. We play with some bands that have lyrical sheets. They're like reading off papers behind, like they forget their own lyrics. I'm like, dude, you're not ready to play yet. Like if you and if that ever happens, we've all had our moments where we've been drinking too much or you're just getting carried away. Just improvise, man.
Right.
No one knows the songs anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Make it up.
And half the stuff we have as compared to the album versions, I get bored with it. So I'll add some runs in, especially fast ones, and add different lyrics or just cater them to make fun of someone in the crowd. It's like half the shit's improv. Like it's half the fun of it.
Oh, absolutely. That's why as a drummer, like I'll never play the same live as I do like on a recording. You know what I mean? I always got to do something
Of course.
because it's boring when you
Yeah.
play the same thing.
And it's like too automatonical, I guess the word to be. Like you're not some program robot. You know,
Right.
you can like change it. And a lot of the professional drummers, they don't do it that way either. You know,
Right.
you'll hear like whoever, and Gene Hoglan, dudes like that, they'll change it up a little bit even.
Oh, yeah.
So
Definitely.
You got to.
Oh, you have to.
It's a requirement. I don't even write down my
Obviously.
lyrics. I just ad lib. It's a new song every time.
There's something to be said for that. Yeah.
Like, what do we want to bitch about today?
It's like open mic, like poetry.
Yeah, slam
Poetry.
poetry. I hate Starbucks.
Hardcore slam.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You get that poor unfortunate person that has seen you like 3 times. And, dude, I remember this, but it wasn't like that last
Why is it so
time.
different?
I got shut up. Here's a t-shirt. Sorry. Fuck.
What's funny is we get some people who come out like repeatedly to shows who know a lot of the lyrics and have all the albums, and you'll see them mouth, which is cool to see people like mouthing along to lyrics until once in a while I'll mess with them and just change them up as I look at them. They're all like confused. Like,
Oh,
wait
wait
a
a minute.
second. I studied these and those are the right lyrics.
And because you're making eye contact, they do that awkward like second guess of themselves. Like,
Yeah.
wait.
I'm not sure if they think I'm messing with them or I'm temporarily having like an embolism or a stroke and forgetting my own lyrics.
That's a good mix.
Which happens, man. Especially songs you don't play as much. Like, you just like, I remember Michael Stipe from REM, that it's the end of the world as we know it. That long run, I don't know any of the lyrics. But I remember people were critiquing him at one point in time for using a teleprompter. I'm like, holy shit, dude, there's no shame in that. Because he has this run that's like a zillion
really
lyrics.
fast, yeah.
Yeah.
People would say, like, how you wrote the song, how would you forget your own lyrics when you have a ton of songs and you don't play some of them often? It happens, believe me.
It's true.
That's where the art of improv comes in. You're just gonna mutter something or just say something stupid and ridiculous, and
Fill it out.
it all works out. You leave the club having earned very little.
It's
Yeah,
great.
all I know of that song is 6 o'clock TV hour, and then it just goes into
I just
chaos.
remember Leonard Bernstein. That's all I remember.
Yeah. I want to hear a speed metal version of that. There probably is one out there.
I can almost guarantee you.
Slayer does REM.
It would definitely be a distorted lyric to the point where, like, if they ever played it live, like, you don't have to mouth anything.
Gonna say, do you think any metal vocalist would have that much breath?
Surprised.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Deek, what's the future for Inverter? What we got coming?
We're working on, we got a ton of shows coming up. We're actually doing a short little run with this band called Polka Dot Cadaver. And so Polka Dot Cadaver there's this band from ways back called Dog Fashion Disco, another bizarre name, who are very much like Mr. Bungle meets and really crazy metal, quirky, bizarre. We're pairing up to do a show with them in Rhode Island, New Hampshire, one in Brooklyn, and then I think another one as well. And they're solid. I mean, they're one of these underground bands that like aren't known to a huge extent, but a lot of other artists respect them. Like they had Serge from System of a Down do a track with them.
Nice.
Neil Fallon from Clutch teamed up with them on a track.
Oh yeah.
So we're playing with them. We got a show this weekend. In fact, I mean, I don't know where this is going out, so whatever. We got a bunch of shows. We're playing in New Hampshire. Club Jewel. Actually, Club Jewel is one of my favorite clubs. We haven't played there in a while. We played there with Moto Grader one time and some other bands. If you remember, that new metal band.
Oh yeah.
Ivan
And a
Moody.
couple others.
I used to love Moto Grader. Moto Grader was epic.
I like Motor Grader. They were fun.
Yeah, they were fun. They were real good guys too. And that's another band. You see them with all the face paint and crap on behind the scenes. They're like calling their wives and like doing their taxes in the back room.
You keep saying that you're old. Like I feel like we're like the same age. I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, I need you to knock it off.
How old are you?
Well, I'm I turned 38.
45. So
Yeah, we're like the same age.
We're like the same age.
Basically the same person.
Neither one of us are getting drafted.
We're actually joined at the hip. Yeah.
That too.
But anyways, I don't know what I was getting at there. Oh, we're writing a bunch of stuff. Like we just rehearsed last night, in fact. And we have 3 or 4 brand new songs that are kind of coming together. And we're going to write probably another 8 or 9 or finalize that many for another album called, what is it? Born Out of Balls. the triple cassette release.
Nice.
Use Your Delusion Part 3.
8-track only.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Actually, we want to do a vinyl release, and we were kind of like semi in talks with a certain label in New England There's been some talk. We'll see if it
Yeah.
happens. If not, whatever, man. And yeah, just writing new stuff. We want to go in the studio maybe the end of this year with the same guy we've been using, Jamie Locke, who did Madball, Set It Off, that album. He did shit with VOD, Prongs, Beg to Differ.
Yep.
All these big metal albums and bands. He did one of the Obituary albums.
Nice.
He's right next door. It's Lunenburg, Mass, right?
Well, yeah, he records up in Powerhouse. We do all the drums in Lunenburg. Is that where you guys are now? Or were you? I don't even know where you
I
are.
can like throw a rock really far.
We're
and
pretty
hit
close to
Lunenburg.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah, we do drums only in Lunenburg because the room has this great sound for like that heavy, like thunderous drum, vibe we're going for. And then we go out to Sharon, Mass, which is a town next to me, to do all the stuff out of his house. That's the beauty of all the equipment now. I mean, even you guys doing this here, it's like go 10, 20 years ago, none of this would be possible. Now you can get like awesome studio quality stuff.
Yep.
And I'll just be yelling in his living room next to his piano and his like Hummel figurines. And he actually did all of the New Kids in the Block albums.
No shit.
So,
That's so weird, but okay.
so all these Inverter albums, I'm screaming my head off. I'm standing next to all these platinum plaques from like Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg.
It's like this. It's like an oxymoronic setting. Like what the, I almost want to turn them around so it doesn't like affect the vibe of the evil they're going
Don't look
for.
at
Like,
me.
this is wrong. Yeah.
Stop looking at me, Donnie.
Donnie.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
that's what we got coming up.
Hell
Nice.
I always ask the artists, like, if we happen to like attract a couple of new listeners for you, like, where's the best place to find you?
Oh yeah, thanks. Inverter Boston on Facebook, inverterband.com, the website. I think it's just Inverter Boston and Instagram. No more MySpace. No, we never had one. And on YouTube, if you just look up Inverter, like band, probably type in. We have several music videos, some lyric videos as well, some interviews, crap like that. I think at some point we're gonna do another music video too for the track UB313, which is that's the one with Tommy Victor from Prong doing guest vocals on it. That's another nerdy sci-fi song. If you look that one up, UB313 is the remnants of a planet beyond Pluto. But it's another dystopian, I won't get into it, but it's a nerdy sci-fi song that's tongue in cheek, kind of the end of the world to bring back REM kind of thing. That we might do a video for that song, but something like super cheesy 1950s space monsters kind of shit. I don't know.
Screens going on.
Not to take ourselves too seriously. We're just trying to have fun with this. We're not these tough guy bands and any crew or anything like that.
Right.
War of the Balls.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm trying to think. The ball. And now I'm thinking Phantasm. Remember Phantasm? The ball.
Yeah.
The balls are back.
Mhm.
It all comes full circle to balls and horror movies.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just keeps us going.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of shows though. Check them out. We're coming to Connecticut again. The Cellar in Hamden, I think it is.
Yep. Heard of that.
Yeah, we're playing there coming up. I forget with who and a few others as well. We haven't played Connecticut a ton, and we're starting to get more offers out there. Some that were born out of that Toad's Play show, which is cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
So sometimes
Yeah.
one gig begets another.
Right.
Deek, we appreciate the time, man.
Hey,
Awesome
thank you
stuff.
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Appreciate it. Yeah, best with all. Hopefully I'll see you out there at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
We might run into each other.
Maybe
Must need.
we'll shove a mic in your face like after a show, and get another interview.
Hey.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the crowd, Deek?
Just do it when all the ladies around, so I look like I'm someone important. I'm like, well,
There you go.
I
There you go,
don't have time for this right now, guys.
Yes. Some dude in a hooded
My limo
sweatshirt with like an
awaits.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
No, thanks again for the time. Obviously, like for our audience, like definitely check out Inverter. These guys are like, they are legit.
Mhm.
Yeah, Deek is downplaying themselves like massively. Like these guys are friggin'
You
amazing
humble bastard.
and awesome.
Bill, the guitarist, always makes fun of me. He's like, "You're always making fun of us." I'm like,
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Hey. You know,
Yeah.
I'm into self-deprecating humor. I don't know. It's like the
Same, buddy.
Hell
Same.
yeah.
I'm the Rodney Dangerfield of my era.
For what it's worth, though, like you've experienced in your lifetime, like actually like hate mail, like people chanting at you that like you suck. I've always said like the symbol of that you made it is when you start getting the hate. Like you get that one hate mail saying that like you are the worst thing that I've ever heard in my life. That means you have made it.
But you have heard of me.
You took the time out of your busy life to dedicate. Yeah,
I suck so bad you probably listen to me every day. Thank you.
We used to have this, not to keep you, we used to have this formatted email me and my co-host had that was like really over the top. So when someone emailed us something that was like complaining or hateful, we would say that, dear listener, we sincerely appreciate your undying support for our show. Without fans like you, we couldn't do that. Though we regret we can't answer your email personally because we're so busy and blah, blah, blah. Basically to infuriate them more.
Yes.
So they know they never even made it to us. They wasted their time. So it was basically a thank you email. And once in a while people would reply again and get so mad.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Poking the bear, man. Poking the bear.
It's too bad they didn't have new phone who this back then.
Yeah.
So luckily we haven't had any of that with Inverter, but I mean, I'm so thick skinned. If someone wants to heckle, I'll like attack right back. I got plenty of things to say. So it's become a comedy show a couple times when you get some drunk idiots or dudes falling on stage and like messing up our equipment. You know, all of a sudden it's, you know, hold up, comedy hour. Let's make fun of this dude for a long time.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Sounds like the New England way.
Yeah, I don't know.
Rose City.
Born out of beer.
Beer and balls.
Volume 9.
Awesome, man. Thank you for being awesome.
All right,
Yeah,
hey,
thanks so
guys.
much.
Take care now.
Have a good
See ya.
one.
That is the end of this episode. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Heavy Metal Over a Six Pack podcast. Marcus, Dave, and Anthony signing off. Check out the podcast at hmoa6pack.podomatic.net. Email hmoa6pack@gmail.com. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.